So, hello guys, welcome to the 10th video on my F-14A build. So, I've got to be honest with you, the last video that I did really was a mojo restorer. Things have started to move, but one thing I've noticed is that I've got lots of little tiny jobs to do, which is great, because it means I can make a plan. And if there's any additional video time left, I can then pick up some of those small little jobs. And if I'm not able to do the small little jobs, we'll end up having a video of small little jobs. So we'll do a recap in a minute, but I'll just tell you what I'm planning to do today. So we started on the ejector seats last video, and we've got some glare shields to do. And we've got the cockpit, and we've got a few other little fiddly bits. I don't want to stick too many fiddly bits to the side until I've finished painting, so I'll probably skip over those. And for the first time in my life, I'm going to be using masking sheets. I think this is going to be the best way to do it. So let's have a little look at what I did last week, and then we'll make a plan of action. So this is where I finished it last week, and I'm rather happy with that. I mean, it's had a good amount of drying time. So I've got some photocopies of the instructions, which I'm going to use as a masking sheet. I think I'm going to be doing this fairly freehand. So I've got two ideas in mind. We'll try one of them. I may actually just use the masking sheets. I might get a thick bit of masking tape, and I'll stick it onto the table. I'll then place the piece of paper, and I'll draw a line, and then I'll cut, and then that top piece is then my masking for the white. The other one is just to put the piece of paper on, but I think we'll get that white done today, and then we can look at tidying up this overspray, you know, in the jet in the air intakes. These are all going to need redoing. But the next plan I want to do is I want to get these glare shields done. So there's a tiny little bit which has just gone missing. I know it's on this table somewhere. I have mislaid a tiny piece. That'll turn up. I know it will turn up. It is really tiny. Here it is there. That's how small it is. So that little piece needs gluing onto here, and so these are going to be painted in two colours, and I've noticed that the divider lines for the colours is a really solid line there, so that's going to be nice and easy to do. So I think what I'll do is I'll do it in the khaki colour all over, and then I'll add the black on. This inside bit there is going to need doing in silver, and then there's a clear piece that needs to be painted, and I'll drop that in last. That's going to go on, I believe that goes there, and this glare shield is going there, and already you can see that cockpit is built up. This is going to need painting. Most of this is going to be grey, and that's going to end up going on there, like so. And then we've got the main canopy, and I still haven't decided whether to do it open or not. I've cleaned this all up, and the dry fit I did earlier, that's a really good fit, so I could easily get away with doing that closed, no problems. I've thought about having it open, but then there's a little bit that has just come off there which I want to try and hide, but you know, I don't need to decide yet. Now I've got three problems. First of all, I've never used one of these sheets before, and this is not pre-cut, so I've got to carefully cut out of these. So that's my first problem, just the fact that I've never done it before. The second problem is, well, there's two problems. Right, so this needs to be painted on the inside as well as the outside, but you only get masking sheets for the inside. So essentially you've got to mask off a straight line across there and across there, and then paint this, I think it's black, and then there's a bit across there and across there, and this bit at the front that needs doing. So I think I'm going to do that in 2 stages. I think I'm going to do these 3 in one video and this one going across in another, or do the cross ones first. So just do the one bit, forget about the rest, and then because I want to mask on the outside to leave the bit in the middle. The outside is going to be dealt with the masking sheet, and that will just leave the bits I want to paint exposed. And I've only just noticed, just this second, there's a seam line going right across the middle of that cockpit, that canopy. I don't know if you can see that. Focus. There. Going across there. That's not a problem. I know how to do that in theory, and it's just going to require very fine sandpaper. What we'll do is we'll file that down, then we'll buff it, and then we'll get some polishing. In fact, most of that has come out now already, and we'll get that polished up to a really good shine, and then I might even get the Dremel on it and get some polishing compound. But yeah, most of that has come out already, just with that little tiny bit of work there, so that's not a problem. Right, so the third problem I've got, we have a piece of masking sheet here, and that's going to cover this up, and then obviously there'll be a bit go there and a bit going there. These are actually raised enough that I could make my own bits of masking, but I want to use masking sheets. But here comes my problem. The inside of this needs to be painted. Let me just find the instructions. The inside needs to be painted X23, which is blue, clear blue. So what I'm going to do is I am going to airbrush it so I can get a nice smooth layer. However, it says nothing in here about painting, and that's going to be quite difficult to mask. I need to mask inside the bit that's going to be grey. So I've had an idea, which is if I carefully cut this mask out that goes on there, if I get it exactly right in one cut, and then I cut around the outside, that should theoretically make a mask that will go around there. Good theory? Let's give it a try. Right, so let's first of all get rid of this tiny bit which has probably flown all over the table because I've been moving things around. It's so small I have to feel it. There it is. So I've cut these pieces off and I've cleaned them. I've done cleaning up of parts before, so it's nothing, you're not missing out on anything. It's quite boring actually. Right, so what I've decided to do on this one is I've dry fitted this loads of times, so I'm going to place that piece in there and it'll naturally go flat, as you can see. Then you can lift it up a little bit, kind of hold it in place, and then what I'll do is I'll grab that from behind, from underneath, holding it in position, and I'll just touch that with a little bit of Tamiya extra thin. Give that a minute or two. I could possibly have used the quick drying, because if I'm holding delicate parts in, I've said this before, if I can't bring the parts together, I use normally a Tamiya white top because it takes a little bit longer to dry. If I can get the parts together, I'll use Tamiya extra thin because I can just capillary it in there like I've just done. But if I've got delicate parts like this which really need holding in place, I'll use the quick drying because I don't need to hold it in place for so long. But that's fine. So the next thing we need to do then is paint that F-14, which is khaki, and I have a conversion for that, which is the AK. Now I don't have the conversion, I will be using F-49, and I think what I'll do is I'll prime and I'll airbrush those on. So yeah, so let's do some masking. So this is going to be fun. So this is going to be the critical one, and I need to get this exactly right. Let me move my camera because you're not getting a lot of what I'm doing on camera. It seems to be pointing upwards. So you have to take the glasses off for this. Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you, I have low confidence in my ability there. I've got a feeling some of those corners are not going to come out really tight. I've done this as best I can. There's one, it's just gone slightly over the part which I want to paint, but I think I might be able to just touch that up with a brush if it doesn't go as well as I wanted. There's also a couple of tiny weeny bits exposed, but the common trick is to get, if you paint over, you go over with a cocktail stick and you sort that out. But I'm alright, I'm happy with that. I just want to mask the inside of that, and we'll do that with the green, and then we'll do that with the grey. So let's get some tape out. Just want to eliminate any overspray. That's all it is. So a couple of bits of tape. Put these first bits on. They need to go over the mask like so. Right, so when I'm cutting these off, a lot of them have got rounded edges. I'm not even worrying about that rounded edge. If I go off course a bit, I'll try and gently swing it back. I found one, it was just this side of the line rather than that side of the line. Where's my focus gone? Come on, focus. So yeah, if I just creep on this side of the line, I won't bring it back quickly because I don't want to what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want that obvious line. Right, so I think I'm going to have to do this first. I'm going to have to get that line down, because if I don't get the line down, I can paint it without buffing it, But so we'll just go in. What I should really be doing is putting a bit of masking tape either side of the line. But you know me. It's a shame we've got that seam line, but you know, it happens. So I'm just going to file it until that seam line disappears. I can just see a little bit of line there. It's gone there. And then what it should do is just work down the grits. Okay, so what I have here is I have a Dremel style tool, and I've got a polishing wheel, and I've got a little bit of the polishing. I say a little bit, I think I put way too much on. And I'll start it off on a low speed. I don't want the friction to burn through this, and we'll see how we get on. A lot better, much better. Come on. Yeah, it's a lot better. So there is definitely a seam line on the outside, but I've got rid of the one on the outside. I just want to try a little experiment.
Right now.
I want to do this outside seam line just using this. I want to see how much effect it has. If I can get that off without sandpaper, and I doubt I will, but it will mean that I can go into there and get it off from the inside without sandpaper. See what we can do. So I managed to muck the middle bit up, look. You know, I don't mind showing you my mistakes as well. I can sand that out, no problems. Right. It's not perfect. It's not awful. And I'm not overly worried about not having a totally shiny cockpit, because I know in reality, something I read up on, these cockpits wouldn't have been absolutely perfect. Do you remember, you know, we obsess with weathering, don't we? And we put all of these oil splats and chips and all sorts, and then we make the cockpit super shiny. Obviously I want my cockpit to be clean. Just one sec, I just need to go and get something. Right, so I've just got some lens cleaner. So yeah, we obsess with making the bodywork looking damaged and weathered, but we never stop to consider the canopy, which is going to hit, everything is going to hit that, isn't it? There's going to be scratches galore. So I think, apart from that little bit there, I think I'm alright with that. So maybe actually I should have gone a lot more. I could really go to town and I could get this perfect, but do you know what? I'm not going to. I'm just going to get that, but I think I've actually got that seam line out just using a Dremel and polish. Just that to get any kind of sanding in there is going to be really hard work, and I'm going to end up probably catching all of it. And I think I've just got that little bit in there, so we'll have a little go at getting this out. Hopefully I haven't buggered it up, otherwise I'll just have to buy a new canopy, but that will teach me for using a piece of electrical equipment that causes friction in the same place for too long. And if I don't get it all out, well, that's my model to bugger up, wasn't it? You know, maybe we could pop a hole in it and call it a bird strike. Yeah, there's always ways and means, isn't there? A little bit there, and who's to say that that wouldn't actually be like that? Okay, that's almost out, look. I mean, I know that given the scale of this and the amount of canopy that I've taken off, you know, it may actually represent taking centimetre or two out of the canopy, but I don't think it's going to be that significant. Let's give it a bit of a polish. I'm really not gonna lay awake at night over that. I think that's okay. It's good enough. It's not brand new, straight out the factory. Yeah, I'm okay. Given the damage that I've done to it, I think that's not too bad. Right, so masking. So this is the one that looks awkward because there's 3 masks on each side. Now what order I put them in, I'm not actually sure. E goes on last. Right, okay. So obviously what we do is we put C and D on. And that's going to cover most of that, and then E goes over the top. So we can use these two to focus on getting right to the edge. This is just going to cover the middle up for the overspray. So let's do E first. Well, I never thought that job was ever going to end. Right, so I mastered 2 bits off there. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that that is going to be an exact line. These masks are not 100% perfect. But we'll see what happens. I can always scrape the paint off because it's acrylic. I've masked off the inside and I've left a line in the middle. Again, I'm not sure if that's going to be straight because I found myself following these mask lines rather than the actual lines. But again, we can scrape off if there's overspray. I think I might be doing touch-ups as well. I haven't done a perfect job of masking a hair because this is all going to get painted anyway. So on the inside it's only going to do half a job, which is those lines going across. Once that's dried, we'll mask across that and we'll do the top, or maybe we could just do it with a brush. That might work equally well. So everything is now masked up, so when we decide to do some painting, there it is. So right, so next job then is we'll get these done, and I think that's probably all we're going to get done in this video, but like I say, we'll just keep going until it's fine. That seam line in that cockpit really didn't help. Right, so I got to admit I'm bricking it now. So I'm going to start painting. First of all, I've just gone a little bit ahead, and I see this piece here, H4, H5. So I've cut those off and cleaned them up, and I'm just going to glue those because once they're glued up, I haven't quite cleaned that up enough. Then obviously next time I catch XF1 or do any priming, I can just pick them up. They don't need to be done for a very long time, but the rate I'm going, probably weeks, but there we go. But once it's done, isn't it? So it goes on that way, and it doesn't go that way, does it? It goes that way. It's quite good actually. It doesn't really want to fit properly if it's not in right. So I'll try and glue that from behind because I don't think it's going to be seen from behind. And then obviously that'll give that a little bit of time to dry before we paint it. Yeah, that's going on nice. So this is going to go, obviously I'm not going to get it on properly because of the masking tape, but it's going to go on something like that. And then when the canopy goes on, that'll go rear behind the cockpit. Right, so what I'm going to do first, because this is a clear, if God forbid I do clean my airbrush out properly, I like to think, but because this is a clear paint, if I do a solid paint first and I get like a couple of little bits of solid paint left in the airbrush and then I do this, it's going to muck it all up. So I'm going to do the clear first, and it's just going to be a little bit of a spray on the inside. And like I say, I've never actually airbrushed this. I'm tempted to sort of think, well, you know, what could possibly go wrong? But I'm just going to go belt and braces, and I am going to thin it a bit as well, just a tiny weeny bit. So that's kind of how I want to spray it. You really can't see it on camera, but it's just very, well, you can see it, but it's very, very subtle. Because it's a clear paint, I want to build those layers up. So the vibrations of the air compressor has just sent my my credit card holder into my cup of coffee. Right, so I just had to clear that mess up. Right, so you see I can get a very, very fine layer, and what I'm going to do is just build that blue up very gently. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with that. So I think that's the blue done. So obviously it's important not to touch it. So what I need to do now is I'm going to clean the airbrush out. I'm going to get some primer. I'm going to go, I'm going to, even though I've masked this, I think I'm going to completely ignore it on the inside. I'm just going to focus on the outside, and then once I'm happy with the top, maybe we can remask it. Those lines don't look straight to me, and I'm not sure if it's the masking tape on the top or if it's just I haven't put it on badly. So we'll just focus on the top there, and we'll focus on the front there. I've got to be a bit careful because obviously I want to hold it. I think what I might have to do is get one of my fancy, I call them cocktail sticks, but they're barbecue sticks, and they've just got a little bit of a flatter edge on them. So, because obviously I don't want to be touching that blue part, but at the same time I don't want to block the top. So I think if I just put a bit of masking tape there, a bit of cocktail stick there. I would use my little crocodile clips, but to clamp it's actually going to clamp over a part that I want to paint, so that's going to be a little bit too tricky. So there we go. I think I'll put that more in the middle, give it a bit more hold. Might use 2 bits of blue tack. One thing I'm terrible at taking into account is the force of the airbrush. Can easily blow that off. Right, okay guys, I'm going to get my airbrush cleaned out. We'll get some primer in there, and then we'll start getting it grey. I'm probably not going to go. Yeah, I will go with the mottling effect as well, but I'm not going to focus quite so much on the mottling. Okay, so I have my black primer in the airbrush. This time I've actually thinned it a little bit. Don't know why, I just did. Right, and here's the bit that's really, really scary, because I think if I've done this wrong, once I put paint on, I might have buggered it up, but I'm being really pessimistic, I know. Right, so I've hit the point of no return now. If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Look, so that bit there that I've masked off, it's black. You can't see through it. So I think even if I didn't paint that bit on the inside, it's not going to look awful. But I think that once I take the masking tape off, that's going to give us some really nice guidelines. I think I could remask that and do a better job, just as long as I've got this bit done right. Right, so let's do an airbrush colour change. Okay, so I've cleaned my airbrush out. I put a little bit of sorry guys, I've got some playing in the background. Right, so I've cleaned the airbrush out. I've put white in the cup, and I'm just going to do the mottling effect. Little bit of a chat while we do this. One of the things that I think hopefully makes a good YouTuber is anticipating what viewers are thinking. And I've noticed that I've been quite pessimistic. Oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do this, we'll give it a go. And you might be thinking, well, why are you being so pessimistic? Now, when I started this model, I had an idea in my head of how good it's going to be. Now, things like the airbrush painting, I knew I already have a certain skill level, so I thought that will come out fine. Things like masking, seam lines, and other things, not so good. But I've got to be absolutely honest with you guys. If I stop now and call this a complete model, which it's nowhere near complete, it's already better than I expected. So in that sense, it's already a success. And I've made mistakes along the way, and I've learnt from those mistakes. So that's got to be a win, isn't it, guys? Now, I've always said when I scale model. This is obviously my first one on camera. So this is kind of a benchmark. But what my aim in life is that each model that I make is a little bit better than the last one. Now some of you might argue, well, alright, your benchmark's low. But that's fine. So this will not turn out the best model you've ever seen. I can pretty much guarantee that now. So hopefully it'll resemble something like it's meant to. It'll look, as long as it looks like an F-14A Tomcat. But I'm working on the next model, as you know why. And it looks like the mistakes that I've made and learned from, I've applied that. So, and I think that's part of the reason why the mojos are turned. You know, when things go wrong, it really sucks the enthusiasm out. There we go. Not a major modelling effect going on there, but just enough to give a little bit of colour variation. Right, so guys, another colour change, and we'll put some paint in. Okay guys, so I've got my my airbrush loaded up with AK11866, which is light gold focus, light gold grey, FS16440. So I'm just going to go over these parts, which are going to be bodywork colour, but not the three other bits that I've done. So I'm really having a bit of a struggle with this airbrush. Not happy. Right, okay. Okay, let's try again. It's come out splattery. Sorry guys. You know, I think it was too thick. It's quite deceptive. Bring this down, we'll do a little comparison. Yeah, I think that's about right, isn't it? That's about there, isn't it? If anything, that's a little bit too light. Right, okay, that's fine. So it's time to clean up the airbrush. We'll put the airbrush away. I've done all I need to do on the airbrush. So what's next is to get these painted up. Yeah, so I'll see you in a moment, guys. Okay, so time for a bit of brush painting. So this is got to be done in XF1, sorry, which is flat black. Now, okay, you guys might be saying, well, you don't need to paint because it's been primed. Unfortunately I do, because I've noticed I've got a little bit of a scrape there, but what I've always been brought up on is if you are using a black primer as a top coat, don't, because if you need to touch up with a black, the finish might just be a little bit different, so it's just easier to go over with the flat black. So what I'll do is I'll do this now, and then we'll do the front bits. Right, so let's do XF49 first. So both of these, the front is going to be done XF49, which is a khaki colour. It is actually called khaki. I believe this is the actual pot that I spilt on the first video. don't know if you guys remember, and I put the little caption up, why I hate bottles, and the fact that there's not much in there would suggest that that might have been spilt. So right, so once the front bit has been done in khaki, then the back bit is going to be done in X18, which is semi-gloss black, not matte black. Now on this piece, the inside of this circle, if I can ever get a focus, it's going to be done X11, which is a silver or aluminium colour, chrome silver. And then what we're going to do at a later stage, we're going to pop a little clear piece in there, a little clear circle, which we are first of all going to be paint clear green. So yeah, let's crack on with it. Okay, so I've painted the khaki on. I knew I was going to be painting the black over the top, so I wasn't really very neat. I just slapped it all on. Obviously, in the next stage is to do the semi-gloss black, and we'll get that nice and neat. And then once that's dry, we'll put the little silver bit in the middle. Now you may have noticed that I put when I put the second coat of khaki on, I thinned it a little bit. I did try, I don't know why I thought it would work, but I tried to do it in one coat straight from the pot. It should have worked, but because obviously the black underneath it was showing through, so it really did need a second coat. But I wanted that second coat to be nice and smooth, so I did thin it quite a lot. Well, I say quite a lot, it was probably about 3 or 4 parts paint, 1 part thinner. So I'm going to do something very similar with the X18, if I can get the lid off. I'm going to be thinning it a little bit, and if I need to do sort of 3, 4, 5 coats, then so be it. So we'll pop some paint on the palette. Let's see, 4 brushfuls, and then 1 tiny drop of thinner. So we'll finish this off hopefully with X11. I've moved the camera. I found that when I was painting I was coming off the camera a little bit. So if I can get this open. I'm going to have to try a different technique. That's almost a perfect circle. So I've caught a little bit on the black there, but that's really easy clean up. In fact, if I'm really lucky, the black paint hasn't even dried on the palette yet, so I might not even need to open the yeah, look, I don't even need to open the bottle up. So we'll just touch that up there. No, that's not done it. Right. Just go back to the XF18, and as easy as that, it's cleaned up. There we go, guys. So it looks a little bit silvery because it's wet. Focus. There we go, guys. So, like I say, while I've got the silver out, I've got a couple of little bits to do on the undercarriage. We've got some lights, very small, but you'll see once it comes into focus we've got 3 dots there and 1 big circle there. They're going to be, this is actually going to be silver. I think that's a white lens. and those three are like little traffic lights. And the way I like to do clear colours is I like to just put the silver on underneath first. So glasses off, very carefully, same way we did before. We'll just run that into there like so, going almost to the edge and then pushing it in. Okay. That's nice. And where I've made this undercarriage dirty and this silver bit is clean, it actually looks quite nice. Can we get a focus on that, please? Right, so the next job, now there's two ways to do this. I think I can do this with a brush. If you've got a really nice pointed brush, you can get that in there quite easily. If your hand isn't so steady, just cut down a cocktail stick, which I'll show you in a moment. Just cut down a cocktail stick and just put a bit of paint on the end of the cocktail stick and just dab it in. But let's say I'm confident with the brush. As long as you can get a really nice sharp point on that brush tip, plain brush tip. There we go, I'm happy enough. Right, let's put my glasses on so I can see the monitor. There we go. So if you, we'll pretend this is a clean one, but what I would now do if I wanted to use the cocktail stick, I'll just cut that through the middle. Oh. Like so. And we'll remove, I've lost the end. Right, so we cut that through the middle and remove half of it. And then we cut through again, which I've already done the first time. And then we remove half of it. And then what we can do is just shave that end. And then make sure I've got no paint on my fingers. And then what we can do is we can dip the end of the cocktail stick in the paint, which is right down in the bottom left, and we can then just drop, single drop in there. And a lot of people will find that a little bit easier because the end isn't so flexible. It's the same principle with applying super glue. I've also seen it done with what people have done is they've got some electrical wire and they've stripped it and they've got one piece of copper wire out and they've taped the end of the wire to the end of this. It works just as well, but you know, for the price of the cocktail sticks and how easy it is to do, that's done. Right, so that's my my undercarriage lights done, which I'll paint those later on. But while I've got the silver out, I thought I'll do that. So I need to do a bit of a quick clean up of the desk, and we'll get started on these. Actually, I'm going to call it a day on this. I think small baby steps is the way to go. I am happy with what I've done. I won't really know until I've actually removed the masking tape, and I don't think the masking tape is going to come off until, I don't know, yeah, I think, yeah. Shall we do it? Shall we do it? Oh, yeah, let's do it. So the question is, do I actually really need to paint that? It's black on the inside, but it's not been painted. Oh God, got all this gunk. Even the defect bit isn't too bad. Yeah, I'm actually, like, my honest assessment here is that's not top of the class, but it's a pass. So I'm okay with that. I really like that. So let's do a dry fit. I know we haven't got the other components on. So we've not got a good colour match there, but that's okay, we can adjust that with the weathering. But look, it's okay. So yeah, I'll do I repaint that? Do I just weather it? Tell me what you think, guys. Right, so let's get these bits on, and then I can call it a day. I can't remember which bits go where. That bit goes there, and this bit goes there. The only thing I've got to remember is I've got to put that coloured bit in before I glue the front bit on. So, and look, even if I didn't get it spot on, it's not a major problem. So there we go, guys. Have I made serious progress or not? Obviously I've got to touch up the black in the cockpit, but yeah, I'm almost tempted now to say, yeah, let's have the cockpit open. What do you think, guys? Comment below. Cockpit open, cockpit closed. No, it's going to hide a little bit up in there, but I think it's done well enough. You know, it's passable, isn't it? It's not, you know, I'm not going to take this to a show and try and win an award with it, because I'll just embarrass myself. But I think it's passable. So all we've got to do there is get the colour matched up so it's similar. But one thing I can do is make this, I can put a little bit more weathering on there. So another lesson that I've learnt there is maybe I should have put this on, well, I probably ordinarily would have done. So glue this on before I paint it. So get that inside done, get the canopy on, get it closed up, maybe glue it down with something like PVA glue so I can remove it, get it masked up, and then paint it. So as you see, it's a pretty poor colour match there, but we can always sort that out. Right, guys, I'm going to end the video there while I'm still on a high. No, I did say I was going to glue these in. Should we glue these in now? I think they're ready, aren't they? So I'll get my Tamiya white top. That gives me a little bit more working time, and oh, the lid seems to have got glued on. So I think we're going to need some touch up somewhere. Right, so it's working out the contact points. That's the hard bit. So this is now too late. It's done now. That's not coming off, and I've just lost the front bit. Come on, out you come. There we go. Oh, excuse me. Oh, that was nice. I don't know if you heard my doorbell go. I've got a call entry system, and the only thing I could think of was it was Amazon. I thought, well, I'm not expecting anything. Turns out to be a neighbour who I've never spoken to him. Our paths have just never crossed, but it was a neighbour, and he says, oh, I've locked myself out, can you let me in? And he's just come up, and I said, you do know we are now officially friends? And he went, yeah. So that was nice. So I got to meet a neighbour in not the best circumstances. Right, so we'll just pop a little bit of glue on there. Not too much, I don't want it squeezing out everywhere. So what I tend to do is I wipe a lot of glue off the brush, and then I apply the glue, and then I wipe the brush again, and then I'll just try and pull some more glue off, and then hopefully that will go in fine. There's about 3 or 4 locating pegs on this. So that's nice. So that's, check that's glued. That's sticking. No, that's not. That's rather loose. No, that's very loose. So good job I checked that, wasn't it? I think where I put the glue, there's actually no contact being made. Okay, that's gone in. Maybe I didn't put it in properly. Yeah, we'll see. We'll check on that tomorrow, another day. But it's yeah, oh, I see. You need to put it in and then push it forward a little bit. Yeah, that's not wanting to stick, right? Okay, let's find some more contact points. Whoa, don't want that much glue. Are we actually on camera? We are just, aren't we? It's just the glue. I've got a little tiny bit of glue squeeze out there, so I think I'm just going to have to touch that up a little bit, but that's okay. So let's do a dry run with the seats. So I think these seats will really set it off. That's really made a difference. Really made a difference. I think if it hadn't come alive, that's come alive now, isn't it? And that's not going in. Ah, there we go. It's because I didn't have the seat in enough. That seat's really got to click down. So there we go, guys. So I asked the question again, cockpit up or cockpit down? I think, yeah, see that little bit missing there, but I think by the time that's on, actually we'll do a dry fit on this now. So this is meant to go in like, should be a couple of tabs on there. There we go. It's going to go on something like that. And then this tab there will go into a little hole at the back. I really need to clean this. It's got so much grease on it. I think I haven't got that compound fully off, unless it's from the masking tape. Right guys, so I'm going to end the video there. I'm really happy with that. So we will, I think that's going to need, I'm going to need to go over that. There's going to be a slight gap there, and that gap is going to need filling. And I think I will do canopy open. I can't seem to get a perfect fit on it, whether that's my fault or the kit's. So if we have that open, I don't need to worry about the gap. Yeah, that's definitely going to have a canopy open. So yeah, what I'll do is as I'm finishing this off, I'll just glue these seats in. I'm happy enough with it now. So I'll just put a little dab there, and a little, whoa, too much glue. Little dab across there. It's a case of putting plenty but not too much. So it's now too late to do the pilots. So if you were one of those that's decided like you want to see a pilot, I can still paint the pilots. There we go. This seat, it kind of goes in and it feels like it's in, but then you need it needs to sort of click in place. So yeah. Really happy, guys, really happy. You know, you think 2 or 3 videos ago I'll be honest with you actually, guys. If it wasn't for the fact that I was videoing it, I would have given up on it. It was only because I'd started making a series of videos that I carried on with it, and I am so glad I did. So there's yet another lesson learnt, guys. Don't give up. You can still get a passable result even if it's starting to go wrong. Right guys, so I'm finishing the video there then. So there is my F-14 as it stands, and I will catch you next week when we will, I'll make no plans at the moment, but we'll work on something, probably get this white bit started. So thank you very much guys, and I will catch you in the next video.